and we will begin. Okay. Aloha and welcome, everybody. My name is Christopher Martin, Director of Admissions here at Chaminade University of Honolulu. I will be your host today for the PsyD information session as we introduce you to our doctorate in clinical psychology, housed within the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology. Thanks again for being here today. As you can see, we have quite a large audience. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to be covering in today's session. So we're going to meet our faculty. So you're going to have a chance to learn a little bit more about our amazing people that make the program happen. We're going to talk about the practicum and internship training component of the program. We'll go into detail about the dissertation, followed by licensure. We'll talk about some theoretical orientations, and then the admissions requirements. And last but not least, we'll have an opportunity for each of you to meet with our current students. They'll tell you a little bit more about their background, where they're from, what year they are here at Chaminade, and followed by that will be a Q&A. So you can ask all of those burning questions that I'm sure you have. All right, some housekeeping rules. So again, if you haven't already done so, please change your username to first and last name so we can keep attendance. And please keep your microphone muted because we will have various faculty speaking today. We don't want to have any sort of interference. And if you have those questions, you can feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll get to those as they come through. I imagine most of your questions will come towards the end of our presentation once we've gone through some of those important questions that I listed earlier. All right, so now I would like to kind of introduce everybody to our faculty. Before we do that, I also wanted everyone to know that some of our faculty members will have to jump off to teach class momentarily. So I'll give everyone an opportunity to welcome them so they can say hello, but a few of our faculty we have to jump off. So we'll start with the head of our program, the director of our program, Dr. Sean Scanlon. So Sean, if you want to say hello really quick.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm the director of the program and also a clinical psychologist interested in child and adolescent psychotherapy.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon. And then we'll talk to Dr. Baez.
Sorry, trying to squeeze in a little bit of lunch here before my class. But thank you all for joining us. I'm Dr. Baez. I am an associate professor here. I've been with the program for just about 5 years. I teach several classes to include therapy classes, which are person-centered and experiential therapy, group psychotherapy. I also teach clinical supervision, and my 2 electives are health psychology and human sexuality. I do also currently have a private practice where I work primarily with individuals with chronic health conditions. So yeah, that's what I do. It was nice to meet you all, and I hope to see you all some in person.
Thank you, Dr. Baez. And next, we'll talk to Dr. Barton.
Hello. Excuse me. Here we go. I'm Dr. Barton. I am both the practicum director of a program and also an assistant professor. So I primarily teach the first years clinical interviewing, the professionalization group, also dissertation as well. And then my role as practicum director, I'm in charge of helping students get their practicum training. And so that's, of course, the goal of getting all of our students the hands-on experience on taking what they're learning in the classroom and being able to put it into practice in the field with clients. And I'm clinical interests center around therapeutic work. I am actively and intentionally working my way back into direct client care. I've been devoting these past 5 years now of kind of focusing on the program and training and teaching. And so I am working my way back into direct client care so that I can incorporate that into the classroom again as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barton, for being here today and sharing your insights. Next, we'll hear from Dr. Chun.
Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm Dr. Chun. I am an associate professor. I've been with the program for I guess I've been teaching 10 years now and been a licensed clinical psychologist for almost 20. And in addition to teaching assessment and intervention classes, my clinical work is in family therapy and doing child maltreatment evaluations. So welcome.
Thank you for sharing a little bit more about your background, Dr. Chun. And next we'll hear from Dr. Ignacio. And Dr. Ignacio, just making sure. And if not, we can just keep it moving. Um, and I will say that Dr. Itoga is actually not available today. Dr. Scanlon, would you mind maybe sharing just a quick background on both Dr. Ignacio and Dr. Itoga, maybe some of the classes that they teach?
Sure thing. Yes, Dr. Ignacio is teaching. Right now, she's doing an elective in trauma, and she'll be doing psychodynamic theory and therapy in the spring, and then also projective personality assessment in the summer. And she's a longtime private practitioner who's also been teaching for us for a long time. Dr. Itoga teaches this semester the biological bases of behavior. In the spring, he teaches lifespan development and then also objective personality assessment.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon. Appreciate that. And we'll keep it moving here alphabetically. So next we're going to hear from Dr. Padilla.
Hi, I'm Dr. Padilla. I am someone you will see and become very familiar with your first year if you are admitted to the program. I teach, cognitive assessment, cog affect, ethics. I'm doing an elective on the treatment and assessment of athletes. I've done pro group and Practicum. I also am one of the providers that oversees the Chaminade Assessment Center as one of our diagnostic practicum sites. And I do assessments in the community for Iolani School. I'm also board certified.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Padilla. And next we'll hear from Dr. Philhauer.
Hi, I'm Dr. Philhauer. I serve as a director of clinical training here. I've been a part of the HSPP program for over 20 years. I teach the cognitive behavioral therapy course, the intervention practicum seminar, and advanced practicum seminar. I'm also a clinical psychologist in private practice, utilizing CBT, DBT, and EMDR. I have a strong interest in integrative medicine and integrative mental health. And in collaboration with the faculty, I help to guide and oversee the clinical training and internship application and completion process. And I'm so happy that you're considering our program. I look forward to seeing how you all grow. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Philhauer, for sharing your insight. We look forward to having our students work with you. Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Jeffrey Stern.
Aloha, folks. I'm Dr. Stern. I am an associate professor here. I teach some first year and fourth year courses. First year students will get me for neuropsychological assessment and perhaps professionalization group. And fourth year students get me for consultation and community mental health and advanced practicum seminar. I also supervise research and have a lot of interest in research, specifically areas of access to care and children with special health care needs. That's my also my specialty, and I'm also with the Chaminade Assessment Center, where I supervise students learning to do evaluations of children with neurodevelopmental and related disabilities, which is also the title of my elective course that I teach every couple of years.
Thank you, Dr. Stern, and we'll be hearing from you in a few more slides. Thanks for being here. Next, we have Dr. Tanji.
Hi, welcome to this information session. I'm pleased that so many of you are interested in our program. I teach a variety of courses in the program, including qualitative inquiry, the philosophy of psych class, history and systems, the diversity class, and like my colleagues, supervise a lot of student research. Coming from a multidisciplinary background in fine arts, Chinese medicine, and psychology, I have a great interest in issues like metaphor and creativity in healing practice, indigenous health practices, and comparative and integrated theories. And I hope that we get to meet a lot of you in the coming year.
Thanks so much, Dr. Tanji. Appreciate that. And then last but not least, we have Dr. Young.
Yes, I don't think she can make it.
Oh,
I can say a couple words. Yes, Dr. Young is she's out there practicing today. I think today is her practice day. But she teaches a lot of the first year classes, psychopathology, for example, and then she also will be teaching the quantitative inquiry class in the spring.
thank you, Dr. Scanlon, for sharing a little bit more about Dr. Young. And I also wanted to introduce our audience to our program coordinator, Kapili Aloha Kidder. Kapili, maybe you just wave and say hello. That's Kapili, everyone. And as the program coordinator, she really helps move things along. She's really one of the MVPs here in our professional psychology program. And she's going to be the one taking attendance today. So make sure you update your Zoom names if you haven't done so already so Kapili can take attendance. And you can also send Kapili a direct message if you're having any issues doing that. Next, I wanted to introduce my co-host for today, Lisa Trumbull. Lisa is the head of our graduate admissions department here at Chaminade, and she's been working in admissions and enrollment management for over 15 years. She really knows how to make what can sometimes feel like a complicated process much more approachable. She's also really passionate about helping students find programs that truly align with their career goals and personal aspirations. So maybe say hello really quick, Lisa.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for being here, Lisa. And just a quick hello from me. My name's Christopher Martin. I met most of you earlier. And if you've sent any emails to the PsyD inbox, that's me responding. In addition to my role as director of admissions, I really just enjoy helping students. I'm also a Chaminade alumnus from our MBA program, class of 2017. So my job is to support you every step of the way. If you have any questions about your application or the checklist, or you need me to kind of facilitate you interacting with any of our faculty, I'm your guy. So really excited to meet everyone today. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, who's going to talk a little bit more about Chaminade and who we are as an institution.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. And that was a really nice introduction for me. I appreciate that. But yeah, aloha, everybody. So before we really dive into the PsyD program specifics, I just want to set the stage with a quick overview of Chaminade University, since I know a good amount of you live outside of Hawaii and may not have stepped foot on our campus yet. So here's a little visual tour. And Chaminade was founded in 1955 and is located on the beautiful slopes of Palaipohaku and Kaimuki. It's a great neighborhood in Honolulu, and our campus sits on 65 acres and features Spanish mission-inspired architecture. And if you have visited us in person, you've probably noticed that we do share the campus with St. Louis School. It's an all-boys K-12 school. So as a university, we serve roughly 1,000 undergrad and about 1,000 graduate students. And in terms of graduate education, we offer 8 master's degrees and 5 doctoral level programs. So this PsyD program was actually the very first doctoral program at Chaminade and launched here in 2019. And it builds on the really long history and strong reputation of the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology, which has been preparing clinical psychologists in Hawaii for decades. So our graduate portfolio here at Chaminade has really grown significantly. In fact, we've doubled our graduate program offerings over the last 5 years. And many of those programs are offered in a flexible, online format or evenings, really supporting working professionals or students off island. However, as you will learn more about soon, our PsyD program does remain our one full-time residency-based graduate program. And I'll walk through that structure and expectations of that in just a bit. But much of our institutional growth, it really has been concentrated in our School of Education and Behavioral Sciences, really reflecting our commitment to advancing education and addressing Hawaii's growing mental health needs. So everything we build and offer, including this program, it's designed to be relevant, community focused, and just really responsive to those evolving needs of those that we serve. So with that context in mind, let's move slides here and take a closer look at the PsyD program with our program overview. So let me walk you through a few defining features of our PsyD program that really set it apart, so both locally and nationally. So first, this is designed as a 5-year generalist program, which means that students are trained across a broad range of clinical skills rather than narrowed into one specialty area right away. We don't offer any concentrations in this program, but throughout the 5 years, students develop, the core professional competencies needed for clinical practice, including, assessment, intervention, research literacy, cultural responsiveness, and professional identity. The structure intentionally, scaffolds learning. So you have your coursework and clinical training, practicum, dissertation, and internship, all just working together to support development from student to emerging psychologist. And next, something we're really proud of, the program is ranked number 16 among PsyD programs in the nation. That recognition reflects our curriculum, our faculty expertise, our clinical training models, student outcomes, and continued growth as a program. Also, we are the only fully APA accredited PsyD program in the state of Hawaii. So that accreditation is, of course, important because it ensures high standards aligned with national training expectations. It also supports licensure mobility. So whether you plan to stay in Hawaii or eventually explore opportunities elsewhere, you will be well prepared and eligible to pursue licensure. Our program also serves as the primary source of licensed clinical psychologists in Hawaii. So many practicing clinicians across the islands, whether they're in, hospitals, VA settings, schools, community health centers, private practice, they were trained through the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology. And finally, we house the largest psychological assessment library in the state. So students gain exposure to a wide range of assessment tools. So including instruments for neuropsychology, cognitive, behavioral, personality, forensic evaluation. So this level of access, it's rare, and it gives our students really meaningful hands-on experience with tools that they're going to use in, a real clinical practice. So together, these elements, just create a rigorous but supportive and practice-focused learning environment designed to prepare highly skilled psychologists who can serve Hawaii and beyond. So now we'll move on, and I want to walk you through briefly what the academic journey looks like, just a brief snapshot over, the 5 years in the PsyD program. So right now we're looking at years 1 and 2 of the, the 5-year study plan. But first, it's important to note that PsyD only admits one cohort per year, and students begin together in August. So everyone moves through the curriculum, as a cohort of about 30 to 35 students, which helps build, strong relationships, support, and shared learning. Our academic calendar includes 16-week terms in the fall and in the spring, followed by a short accelerated summer term. The pacing is really intentional. It allows for deep learning during the academic year and applied training as you move into later stages of the program. So in the first year, your coursework is focused on building, foundational skills in preparation for clinical training. So you'll take courses such as clinical interviewing and ethics, and you'll have an assessment sequence of courses. These first year courses they're just designed to ensure that by the time you enter practicum, you'll have some clinical and professional, readiness needed to work with clients. In terms of scheduling, most first year students are on campus about 2 days a week for classes. Once you begin practicum in your second year, that typically shifts to about 1 day a week on campus with, of course, additional time spent at your training site. And then you'll notice on this first page of the 5-year plan that, that practicum begins in year 2. Dr. Scanlon's going to talk more in depth shortly about the practicum and internship year, so I won't spoil that portion just yet. But moving on to the next slide here, you will see that year 3 is where several, major pieces overlap. So this is often when students are completing practicum while also preparing and proposing for their dissertation. Most students defend their dissertation in year 4 ahead of their, full-time internship. Dr. Stern will talk in a little bit later on in the session about the dissertation. So this structure, coursework, practicum, dissertation, and internship, it is developmental, it's, sequenced and designed to build your skills gradually and intentionally. So with that framework in mind, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Scanlon. He is going to talk about practicum training as well as the pre-doctoral internship. So over to you, Dr. Scanlon.
All right, thanks. And welcome again, everybody. I'm just happy everybody's here and interested in helping people. So thanks for being here. So so in year 1, there's and Dr. Barton usually handles this, so forgive me for talking about this, but Dr. Barton, but in your pro group, which is kind of a professionalization group that you have in your first year, you'll start to prepare for applications for the practicum, which will happen in your year 2. We have a practicum fair where all the sites come, and all the interested students will go and meet with the sites and kind of decide, where they want to apply to. And then they get matched in, I think it's March or April, usually April of that first year. And then they go off to diagnostic practicum in that year 2. Diagnostic practicum is usually about 2 to 3 days a week, where they're out at a site and actually applying the stuff that they learn. So it's an exciting time, a demanding time, but at least they get out and get to work with people directly. In that year, you're starting to prepare for the following practicum years in classes and for interviews. And that following year is year 3, and you'll have an intervention practicum. Same amount of time usually, so about 2 to 3 days a week you're at a practicum site, and you're actually working on psychological interventions with clients there. The next year there's advanced practicum, and that's an optional one, but essentially every student takes advanced practicum. That one has a little bit more freedom. We're allowed to go ahead and kind of pursue your interests a little bit more at different sites. The hours don't have to be as much, but it's just kind of giving you a little bit more exposure to places that you might not have had in your diagnostic and intervention year. Is this me too? Lisa? Okay, all right. Okay, so pre-doctoral internship. So this is handled by Dr. Philhauer. And to go on internship, this is basically your 5th year in the program. So you've completed everything else, including your dissertation. And then, but it's a full-time off-campus internship, and you can go to any state across the country. And it's basically a full-time, so 40 hours a week. The nice thing is you do get some pay. It's not a lot, but it does help you with some expenses. And yeah, our match rates, I think that's about, is that updated? Yes, but it's a high match rate. across the country. Was it 87 or 90 something this year? Forgive me, I'm scrolling. Um, Nonetheless, but it's a high match rate, and then we have a requirement of going to APA or APIC accredited sites. So we do, have high standards for that. But on the flip side, we also do offer a lot of supports to make sure that you can, give your best application that you can, so you are placed at one of these sites.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon, for sharing your insight about the internships. Now I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Stern, who's going to talk about the dissertation component of our program.
Thank you, Chris. So I think it's already been made clear to everybody that we're like a developmental program and that everything is kind of built on top of the lower level kind of basic skills that we want you to learn in the very beginning. So for example, in your first year for research, part of your pro group activities is to prepare for your training, but also prepare for research and maybe working on a lit review of an area of interest that you have. Because unlike, I guess, PhD programs that are scientist practitioner based, ours is, practitioner scholar based. And so we do require research, but the research should be what you want to research, not where you glom on to faculty members' research to kind of get it done. It's more like this is intended to be your passion project. It's what intended to be something that drove you into the field and makes you want to do psychology. And so in your second year, you're going to be kind of pushing that to trying to develop a very specific, refined question that you want to answer, either using qualitative or quantitative research methods. In your second year, second semester, you take your quantitative research course from Dr. Young. And then in your third year, you get the qualitative research course from Dr. Tanji. And at that point, both courses require you to generate proposals. So those proposals can turn into your dissertations if you decide to pursue that. And then in the spring of your third year, you're writing your proposal. That's chapters 1 and 2 of your dissertation, your lit review and your methods. And that then has to get approved by your committee, which is comprised of 2 faculty members, your chair, and then a committee member. And the chair is the one who's like your right hand. They're the ones who are going to support you through the process and get you done. Ideally, you need to defend that proposal by the end of your third year so that you qualify to take comps at the end of your third year. And then once you've passed comps, you're now a candidate, a doctoral candidate. And then you have to submit that application to the IRB, the review board, to have it approved, after which you collect your data, and then you analyze your data with your chair and write it up and do your defense before you head out to your internship. The vast majority of our students finish before they go, which makes it just so wonderful because all you have left now is the training, and that's totally in your control. So I think that's really one of the nicest aspects of our program is that we do get students completed in 5 years, and not a lot of programs can boast our completion rate numbers. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stern. And next, I'm going to hand it back to Dr. Scanlon, who's going to elaborate a little bit more on our licensure process.
All right, so licensure. So it's, it can change across states, but for the most part, you need to get a doctoral degree from an APA accredited program. And so you get that degree, so you go through us, you walk across stage, give you the hood, you can be called doctor at that point. However, you need to spend another year of supervised doctoral training. Then this would be for Hawaii, you would apply an application to the Board of Psychology, and then they would allow you to take the EPPP exam. And then with that, you've met all the criteria, and then you can become a licensed psychologist. So that means that you can go ahead and practice on your own, bill, medical insurance and whatnot. So this order can change depending on the state, but the one that's listed here is what Hawaii is listed as.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon. And next, we're going to hear from Dr. Katie Chun, who will talk more about our theoretical orientations.
Mahalo. So our faculty are widely represent a wide variety of theoretical orientations, and we pretty much cover the gamut. So the courses that are required in taking the therapy courses include cognitive behavioral therapy in your second year, and then psychodynamic therapy in your also in your second year. And the person-centered course is in your third year. And that also covers humanistic perspectives. But electives that are also included, that are offered include emotion-focused therapy and family therapy and trauma-focused work, child therapy, quite a variety. So the um, the representation among the faculty offers you a perspectives for what is really available in the community. And in your practicum, you get to have a much more focused experience with that too, under supervision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chun. Again, we appreciate you being here today. All right, so the next few slides, you're going to get a chance to hear from me as I do oversee much of the admissions components for the PsyD program. So as far as degrees are concerned, you must have a bachelor's or a master's degree from a regionally accredited institution. If you have any questions about regional accreditation, you're more than welcome to ask me. But next, we'll talk about grade point average. So if you're coming to Chaminade with an undergraduate degree, we do mandate that students have a 3.0 or higher. Those graduate transcripts, those master's degrees, we do mandate that students have a GPA of a 3.25 or higher. Next, I'm going to talk about those foundational courses. The Hawaii School of Professional Psychology requires applicants to successfully complete 5 3-credit courses that serve as a basic foundation for clinical psychology. These classes are as follows. So Introduction to Psychology or General Psychology. Next, Abnormal Psychology, Psychopathology, or Maladaptive Behavior. Next, a Statistics or Research Methods course. And lastly, 2 additional courses in the field of psychology. So these are the courses that you need to have undertaken and passed prior to your admittance into the program. Let's talk a little bit more about the application itself and deadlines. So in addition to submitting the application, you'll need to submit a personal / professional goal statement explaining why you're applying to the program, also including a professional resume or CV, and then 3 letters of recommendation. We also require official transcripts. Those need to be sent to us here in the admissions office electronically or physically, and they need to be official. The GRE is not a requirement. Now let's talk about deadlines. So in about 2 months' time, we have our application deadline, which is January the 15th, 2026. We will be conducting interviews in February and March, and then those students will be notified of their decisions around mid-March. And then students who are offered a spot into the program will respond to their offer of admissions by April the 15th, giving you all summer to kind of prepare for starting the program. All right, so next, I would like to welcome our PsyD student panel. We've got 4 incredible PsyD students that you're going to have a chance to hear from today. So in no particular order, we're going to introduce you to Kiana Leclerc, Lauren Jacobs, Madison Wilk, and Chad Uyeo. And apologies if I butchered your last name. I will do my best to pronounce it correctly if I didn't do so the first time. So first, we're going to hear from Lauren Jacobs. And Lauren, if you could just introduce yourself, what year you are here at Chaminade, where you're from, and then I have a couple more questions that I'll ask you, Lauren.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. I'm Lauren Jacobs. I'm actually at Prac right now, so I'm over my hotspot, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Yeah, I'm in my 4th year. I originally grew up outside Dallas, Texas, but I have lived all over the United States at this point. I've been in Hawaii for almost 8 years now. Um, I've got the list in front of me, but I can let you ask the questions, Chris, if you'd like.
Oh, yes. So, why did you choose the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology here at Chaminade?
Yeah, main reason I'd lived out here for a few years before deciding to go into this profession. My partner and I, we really love it here. We kind of consider it our home. And I really was attracted to the fact that Chaminade has a generalist approach. There's not just one specific orientation that you have to adhere to. It lets you do your own dissertation. You don't have to, be underneath one singular PI for all 4 years that you're here. So I really like that flexibility. And it turned out to be very true. I've enjoyed sort of the range of experiences I've gotten here, both between practicum and between all the courses.
Awesome. And then maybe explaining a little bit more about your background before joining Chaminade, where you attended school, possibly.
Okay, for sure. Yes, I actually attended and commissioned from the United States Naval Academy quite a few years ago at this point. And I commissioned as a nuclear submarine officer, and I did that for 9 years. I also served in the Naval Special Warfare community. So I did that whole military side of the house. Um, in, I guess, in my old profession, mental health was um, really devalued, and I could see the effect that not only having sort of a negative approach to mental health had on people, but then when you actually did take care of the people around you and people, had experience with therapy and getting support, how much of a positive difference it could make in their lives. So when it came time for me to get out of the Navy, I knew that I wanted to sort of put my skills and experience towards really serving my community and being part of a force for good among others. And I've always been attracted to psychology and things related to it, and it just felt like a really natural fit. Now that I've been in the program, I feel like this is where I was always meant to be. So a long journey for me to get here, but very happy with where I've gotten at this point.
Thank you, Lauren. And one more question. Maybe you can kind of just elaborate a little bit more on a particular clinical interest or a highlight of your experience in our program.
Yeah, for sure. I would say the highlight for me has definitely been the practicum experience. I've been able to get placed at two really amazing sites. I've been at the University of West Oahu at their counseling center, and then I'm currently at the Hawaii State Hospital. I'm in my fourth year, so currently applying to internships and everything. And yeah, I am looking to make a career out of forensic psychology. And that's kind of where I'm headed. So if anyone's interested in that, I'm happy to answer what questions I can, even though still very new to this sort of subspecialty.
That's awesome, Lauren. Thank you so much. And as a reminder to our prospective students, if you have specific questions to any of our student panelists, you can insert those questions here in the chat box. I think you have an opportunity to chat the specific students individually or ask kind of a group question. But next, we're going to hear from our fourth year PsyD student and doctoral candidate, Chad Uyeho. I hope I'm saying that right, Chad.
You're pretty close.
Okay.
Chad Uwejo.
Uyeho, okay.
Yeah, no worries. I think a rare thing is I'm not at Prac today, so I'm at home, so I get to relax and I get to catch up on schoolwork that I typically like to leave until the last couple of days before I have the classes. Don't copy me. But yeah, I am also a fourth year doctoral student, or doctoral candidate now. I always forget to change that. And I am born and raised in the island of Oahu. Not much else to it, just yeah, never left and enjoyed my stay throughout my entire existence here.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, Chad, and kind of sharing a local perspective about our program here at Chaminade. That leads me to my next question. So why did you
Yes.
choose the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology here at Chaminade?
Yeah, I always had like some passions for just learning about psychology. My undergrad was primarily in psychology with a little bit of minor stuff. But as I continued to do a little bit more research about what I could do next, I found that this program was kind of hosting the PsyD program. And I thought it was so interesting to see how I'm continuing able to develop and be a little bit more, not specialized, but be a little bit more competent in a lot of different areas. I did have a colleague who I used to work with, and he said that he's also applying to this program, and he was talking about how um, interesting and engaging it was. So being able to kind of just shoot my shot and being able to kind of be where I'm at now is something definitely interesting.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Can you elaborate a little bit more on some clinical interests that you have here at Chaminade?
hmm So I have immense clinical interest in doing assessment and providing therapy for children, all the way up to adolescents. Um, I think that's tailored with because of my work background as I was a behavioral therapist or an RBT, as people like to call it nowadays. So being able to use that background and promoting that into my dissertation of, adolescents who have diagnosis of autism. That's where my particular interest is at this time.
Thanks, Chad. And then last question, do you have any specific highlights about your experience in the program? That can be a specific course or a practicum, faculty mentorship, anything that stands out to you?
hmm Um, I think the main thing is just the communication, that open communication with staff, with practicum, with just your cohort members. I think that has been the most important thing and the thing that I would say I love the most. Being able to just bug our supervisors, our professors about like any questions that we may have, has definitely made this program a lot less stressful. Kind of changed the perspective and just to becoming more curious, rather than, coming in with fear. So I think that's the biggest highlight for me.
Thanks so much, Chad, for kind of sharing your insight from a local. We appreciate that. And stick around to see if we have any questions for you individually. Next, we're going to hear from a third year PsyD student, Kiana LeClaire.
Hello, I'm Kiana. I'm a third year, and I'm from here. I on Oahu. I grew up in Kaneohe, and now I live in Kailua. So been on the windward side.
Thanks, Kiana. And can I ask, why did you choose the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology here at Chaminade?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to stay in Hawaii. That's kind of the population I had the most experience working with, and I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna want to stay here and continue serving the community. So I thought, when considering like practicum and other clinical experiences, like that's kind of where I wanted to get my practice learning with that population since that's where I'd want to continue to keep working. I also it was important that I chose like an accredited program and also a PsyD program, because I knew I would want to use more of a clinical approach rather than like the research-based approach. So that kind of made it very clear that the HSPP PsyD would be the right fit for me.
Thanks, Kiana. Follow-up question. Can you elaborate a little bit more on your background before you joined our HSPP program?
Yeah, I was not studying psychology at all. I was doing like marketing and communications for cosmetics in New York. So I did like a total 180. I graduated from Marist, my undergrad in 2020, and then I came back home to Hawaii. And then I think during that time, especially with COVID, there was like just such a heavy need for mental health treatment and a lot higher focus on it. So I kind of just felt like I wanted to stay home and help fit that need. And I felt like my personality would really fit there well too. But because my education wasn't in psychology, it was really important for me to make sure I got all those foundational courses and do like volunteer work in like a support group. And I work in an inpatient psychiatric unit and did some work as a case manager as well, so that I would have an application to apply to the program.
Yeah, and I mean, for all of our prospective students, this is a great example of how we have students from a variety of backgrounds that choose our program. Some students know that they want to be psychologists since they were a ninth grader in high school, and sometimes we have older adults that have finished college and are kind of targeting a career change or pivot in their career. So, thank you, Kiana, for kind of sharing that experience. Next question, can you talk a little bit more about some of your specific clinical interests?
Yeah, similar to some others on the call, I'm also interested in forensics. I like working with adults, particularly with psychotic disorders. So that's where I've kind of been targeting my practicum applications and other experiences.
Yeah, and last question, Kiana. Do you have a specific highlight of your experience in the program, maybe a specific course, practicum, or faculty mentorship?
Definitely practicum. Just because that it's such a good way to apply what we've learned in school and like see how it like works out like in like the real world, you know. And also because I have had that interest in forensics, but never um, been working in that setting professionally. Like it's been cool, like getting exposure to so many different types of forensic practicum sites. And then in terms of courses, although it's like a large majority of the courses, I would say anything to do with like assessment or theory, because the theory classes, like again, not having the undergrad education in psychology has been like really, really foundational and helpful for me. And then the assessments too was something that was super foreign to me prior to entering the program. So I really enjoyed learning about the different assessments we do.
Thanks for being here, Kiana. We appreciate it. And lastly, we're going to hear from another third year PsyD student, Madison. Why don't you go ahead and say hello, Madison?
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a third year doctoral student, and yeah, I moved here to Hawaii from Colorado, and I'm currently also at Practicum.
Well, thanks for carving out time out of your busy days to be here. Uh, you guys are awesome. All right, so Maddie, hope it's okay that I call you Maddie. That's what we have you on the screen as.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. So why did you choose the Hawaii School of Professional Psychology here at Chaminade?
I think that a big part for me was I also wanted, like Kiana said, I also wanted to pursue a PsyD as opposed to a PhD. I have prior clinical experience working with kids in different populations, and I think that that really like ignited my interest in the clinical side of things. And then also like who doesn't want to move to Hawaii, you know, like and then, yeah, I would say like when I came and did a visit of the campus and like got to meet Dr. Scanlon and like different people, it was super helpful to contextualize it, like what life would look like here. And then I think honestly, the professors and meeting everybody is kind of what sealed the deal for me.
Yeah, thank you, Maddie. And it sounds like you have some experience working with younger populations. Maybe kind of elaborate exactly your background with those younger populations before you joined our school.
Yeah, so like Kiana, I also kind of did a switch up in school. Originally for undergrad, I went to school for legal studies. I was going to be a lawyer and then ended up actually volunteering at a juvenile detention facility. And I think that that experience is really what kind of ignited my interest in more of like the psychology side. And then I was able to get my master's in the UK in forensic psychology. And so I feel like that kind of allowed me to get more experience because now I have a master's, all of the things. But yeah, so I have prior experience working in different detention facilities. I'm currently also at a detention facility. Um, I have worked also as an RBT for a little bit. I did multi-systemic therapy. And yeah, I would say most of my experience is kind of targeted around at-risk youth populations, mostly on the offender side. However, I was also a school-based therapist for a year. And I think that was a really good chance to kind of see like a different point of view of working with kids. And I really liked that as well.
Thank you, Maddie. And you already answered our third question. So, last one, we'll just kind of maybe ask you to showcase or highlight one particular experience in our program that can be a course, it can be your practicum, a faculty mentorship, or a faculty member.
Um, I mean, I don't want to like I would say practicum, obviously. But if I'm gonna like switch it up a little bit, I would say that my highlight so far has been being able to present at IVAT. And I was gonna say that's kind of one thing I really like about the program is I do feel like there are a lot of opportunities to grow and to shine. And you know, like I was able to speak and publish research my first year with a professor, and it was a challenge for me, but in a good way. And I feel like I learned a lot as a professional. And yeah, like I think that there are constantly opportunities to grow. You just have to take them.
Wise words, Maddie. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to again thank our incredible panelists, Lauren, Chad, Kiana, and Maddie, for sharing your experiences, both from the local perspective, but also students from all over. So thanks again for being here. Feel free to hop off if you need to get back to your practicum. but feel free to stick around if you want to answer a couple more questions as they come through. So before we get to the Q&A section, I wanted to kind of showcase how our prospective students can stay connected. If you have specific questions about the curriculum and coursework, you can always connect with the director of our program, Dr. Sean Scanlon. But most students typically at this stage have questions about the application process, supplemental materials, submitting transcripts, et cetera. And you can submit those questions to me directly, christopher.martin@chaminade.edu. Or as I mentioned earlier, I also oversee the PsyD inbox every single day, so feel free to input your questions there as well. And that is my direct line on the bottom right-hand side. All right, so I wanted to open the floor up for a few more minutes in case we have any prospective students with questions. Feel free to put them in the chat box, and it looks like we have had some of our faculty and staff working diligently to make sure that we're answering those questions. But if there's any burning questions, now is your chance to put those in, and then I will see if we can have one of our faculty answer those live.
Yeah, and actually, Chris, why don't you you can probably stop the screen share. We can all see each other a little bit better. And then yeah, we've got a little bit of time here, so we might as well just open it up if anybody wants to use the hand raise function. Great. Tenzin, yeah, why don't you go ahead and just unmute, and then yeah, and then we can just go from there.
Yes, hi, thank you. Thank you for all the information today. My question is about the dissertation. Dissertation at Chaminade, like, could we work on something that involves international collaboration? Um, like like collaborating with a research lab in another state or a different country?
Yeah, maybe Dr. Stern, you can answer this one.
I know that that's come up in the past and that we've tried to work when we can to make that happen. But I also know that there's some practical limitations that often make it very cumbersome and difficult because you really only have 1 year. And to forge those kinds of collaborative relationships and have that happen often takes up much of the time that you have to actually do the project. And so often we try to encourage you to do projects that you have control over, but that are most of it is within your control with fewer moving parts to help get you through the program quickly and this particular hurdle efficiently.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stern. It looks like we have a question from Maddie Hoffman.
Hi, yes. I had a question regarding the interview process. I believe in the last info session, it was mentioned that there's a group interview, and I was just hoping to get some more information on that and what we could expect from the group interview.
And maybe Dr. Scanlon and or Kapili can answer that one. Okay.
Yeah, so we would have that. We do have all individual interviews, and then subsequently there would be a group interview. And then that one we offer two types. So there's an in-person one. So those that can be here in person, great. And then we also have a Zoom one because we understand it is a bit much to fly all the way in just for just for a couple hours. So that's how we work it. And it all depends on the year and who can make it and who can't.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon.
Sure.
Okay, and Amanda, it looks like your hand is up.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Amanda Kelly. I'm calling from here on Oahu. I have a question regarding kind of addressing our community needs here that are always evolving. So I think earlier it was mentioned that Chaminade is kind of the major pipeline for the field here in the islands. And I was wondering how the school kind of assesses the needs of our communities or projected needs and how the curriculum and the practicum sites really support our ability to grow into those needs in the community.
Dr. Scanlon, you want to take a stab at that?
Yes, I'm trying to think I don't know if I have a clean answer for you. So far as the needs of the community, every facet of the community needs clinical psychology, and so far as our students going out and helping people wherever they want to, basically, is not an issue because they're underserved. There's not enough clinical psychologists out there, so it's not like there's a certain area that we need to fill. Like they all need filling, and all of our students go out and they get jobs right away. So it's not like there's any special area. With our practicum sites and internship sites, you get the gamut of types of services that they have from, we said forensic to I forget, where everybody's at. Community health centers and whatnot. So you do get all that experience and exposure to those different sites. And so when it comes your postdoc year, it's wide open wherever you want to go. So that's the thing with clinical psychology. It's there are jobs all through the state, all across the country. It's just there's the yeah the potential is wide open.
Great.
I hope
Thank you
that
so
answered.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Scanlon. And to our other faculty, if you feel the need to piggyback on any of these responses, you can raise your hand as well in case you want to add your input. Oh, Dr. Stern.
Yeah, Amanda, you look familiar to me. I think I know your work in the community, and so your question is very apropos. I think when it comes to identifying areas of need in the community, we do try to collaborate with the Hawaii Psychological Association to identify and work closely with them on what are the community needs. We are doing some research looking at community needs. I did a project last year examining access to care barriers for children who are autistic and on the spectrum. And so I think at least in that area, with it related to children with special health care needs, we really are trying to respond to the community's data collection and find out what the needs are. And I think that's true for a lot of topics, not just that one, but that's the one I'm most familiar with.
Thank you, Dr. Stern. And we also had a question in our chat box here from Karen Herndon, who asked if there are any books that a student would recommend that help them prepare for the PsyD experience. It looks like Lauren responded, but maybe Lauren, you could elaborate a little bit more about that DSM VTR book, which I have not read.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sarcastic answer, I'll be honest. That's the DSM-5 that we have to use to assess and diagnose folks. I was typing out the rest of my answer, but I had to take a bunch of prereqs for this program because my undergraduate degree was not in psychology. And so I think doing that coursework was extremely helpful, especially leading right into going to the program. So I'd say if you have an undergrad degree in psychology, revisiting some of that. Other than any specific books to help me prepare for this experience. Other than that, nothing. But I think Kiana recommend anything by Carl Rogers is good. I also read A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl before I went to this program, which I think was very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. And I see a lot of our current faculty and students holding up their favorite books. So thank you. All right. Yeah, keep the questions coming. These are awesome. So, and if you don't know how to use the raise hand feature, you should be able to just select that on the bottom toolbar. I don't see any questions coming through. Okay. Lisa, do you want to call it?
Last year we went a few minutes over and we were happy to answer all the questions that were coming on in. But yeah, I think we can wrap up today's session since we did say it would be an hour. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. As Chris mentioned, January 15th is that application deadline. I know many of you are in applied status right now, whether you have a completed application or just waiting for some of the items to trickle on in by the deadline. If you have any concerns with any of your materials coming in by that time, please reach out to Chris directly. He can navigate that with you. But yeah, do your best to have everything in by January 15th so we can get those files off to review. And Kapili can work on scheduling interviews. And yeah, just to be really transparent, we typically get about 200 applications a year for this cohort of about 30 students. Usually about half of those people will be scheduled for an interview. And from there, it's usually about 50 offers of admission to get our cohort of about 30 to 35. So highly competitive program. I wish you all the best with your applications. And yeah, don't hesitate to contact us in admissions if you have any questions. And you know, it's Dr. Scanlon, the faculty, they're all very generous with their time, but they are very busy. So we appreciate them being here today. So do your best to direct questions to the Office of Admissions. If we cannot answer those, we will definitely reach out to the faculty expertise to get those questions answered. But hopefully you'll all have the opportunity to connect with them more in your admissions interview coming up in the spring term. Or don't hesitate to reach out to us about setting up a campus visit. We are happy to meet with you and show you around campus and stop in and say hi to some faculty quickly when you're here. So have a great day, everybody, and hope to see you all soon. Aloha.
Thanks, everybody. Aloha. Bye.
Oh, Karen, looks like you had a question. You were just raising your hand. Oh, okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, students. You guys are awesome.
Yep. Thank you, panel. Appreciate y'all. All right. Bye, everyone.